Meg Griffin was happy. She had the most wonderful dream that the world was peaceful and her family loved her. The dream was untrue, however. Everybody hated her in reality. Her mother Lois forgot to make her breakfast, and when Meg complained, Lois told her to walk to school. Her father, Peter, comes in and asks what is going on. Lois tells him that Meg criticized her work. Peter gets angry and hits a wall, telling Meg to get out. Meg screams and runs out. At school, Meg has no supplies she needs for classwork, as Peter forced her out before she could get any. She got in trouble in her first 2 periods before going to lunch. She sat at a table alone, as usual, and some popular kids teased her for being forgetful, and hoped they won't forget Meg is a loser and start hanging out with her. Meg begins crying, and while doing so, somebody pushes her head into mashed potatoes, breaking her glasses, and everybody laughs at her. Her clothes were dirty, so she received 4 lunch detentions in her next classes. As the bell rings for the end of the school day, Meg is trying to erase her horrible day. However, on the way home, many people tease her and her nickname, Potato Face Loser. Meg is now crying bitterly. She runs home, and when she opens the door, nobody bothers to say hello or anything, for that matter. Meg runs to her room. Meg usually cuts herself, so this was no big deal. Everybody knew she did, even Stewie. But this time, Meg was going to extreme measures and was crying while doing so. She accidentally slid her wrist too deep and screamed so hard that Glenn Quagmire, the neighbor, heard. However, even though all the family was there, they didn't care. "I hope she dies," Brian remarks. "Wait, that feels good," Meg says. "Yes, I love this." So Meg continues to brutally cut her pale skin. She finally cuts off an entire finger, but instead of screaming, she laughs very, very maniacally. She cuts off all her fingers and covers the blood with her pillows and sheets. Her bedroom looked like a murder scene. It was so goddamn bloody. Meg spots her flute, which she doesn't play very often because everybody complains that it makes their ears bleed. She grabs her flute, and there is a blackout for about 10 seconds. Meg has a realistic knife in her hand. There is another blackout for about 20 seconds. Meg has her flute in her mouth now, which also looks strangely realistic. Now there's a 30-second blackout. Meg is stabbing herself in the stomach, which is squirting out realistic blood. Meg's intestines are coming out too. Meg is in so much pain that she blows the highest and most off-key note on her flute. Now there's a minute of blackout before we see Meg lying in a dim forest, bleeding, with children screaming in the background, and a dog barking. Investigators found Meg's body in the forest and brought it to the Griffin's house to ask what they request to do with the body. Peter insists they bury it in the backyard, as they don't have enough money to get it buried. There is a minute or two of blackout before we see the Griffins at their dinner table, eating realistic hands and legs, and Chris putting salt on Meg's arm. They burp and leave the dinner table a bloody mess.